But wait a minute. Why is the air going into the lungs a different colour to the air coming out?
Well, it's not really. That's just to show us that when we breathe in air, we're exchanging oxygen for carbon dioxide.
So do we know how much oxygen is exchanged for carbon dioxide?
Well, it's usually around 4% of the gas present in breath.
Only 4%? Seems like a lot of hard work for very little reward to me.
Well, that's probably why we need to take about 16 breaths per minute, even when we're not exercising.
So how do our lungs get oxygen out of the air we breathe?
Well, this is where the round structures called alveoli come in. But first, the air has to get to them.
How does that happen?
Air gets drawn down the trachea. The trachea then split into two tubes called bronchi. Each one go into a lung. The bronchi then split into progressively smaller tubes called bronchioles. At the end of these tubes are the little air sacs called alveoli.
Things are about to get complicated again, I can tell. So how do they work?
It's really not that tricky. Look. Just remember that oxygen needs to get into our bloodstream, and it does this through gaseous exchange, which happens in the alveoli. Waste carbon dioxide diffuses out of the bloodstream and into the alveoli, ready to be breathed out. This is replaced with oxygen, which diffuses into the bloodstream.
So the alveoli enable the oxygen from the air we breathe to diffuse into our blood, and the carbon dioxide to diffuse out. This is gaseous exchange.
Yes. The alveoli perform a very special role in keeping us alive, and they have special features to help them do this. Firstly, because they are rounded structures instead of flat, they have an enormous surface area of about 90 metres squared, which is roughly the size of your science lab. Secondly, they have a moist lining which allow gases to dissolve. Thirdly, they have very thin walls. In fact, the air and the blood are only separated by 2 layers of cells. And finally, they have a very good blood supply, as you can see.
So they all have an enormous surface area, a moist lining, thin walls, and a rich blood supply, which all allow for gaseous exchange.
Yes.
So if you had an exam question which read, write down 4 ways in which the structure of the lungs allow for gaseous exchange to take place, you'd know all the answers.